Justin gave us the signal.
Everyone out there, welcome to DJs and Beers episode number 9, but this time it's DJs and Shots for some reason. I don't know why.
Whose idea was this?
I don't know. Whose idea was this?
Somebody in the chat room had mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, DJs and Shots.
So, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Right. We're here as always. We have drum cell back. Mo is back. Hooray! Obviously, everyone who's new to this, there's Truncate, Radio Slave, and Dubfire, and myself. And since it's Father's Day in Germany today, and that it is a nice celebration where fathers usually get pretty wasted, it's been a good day. So I'm congratulating Matt and Mo. These are the two other fathers besides me in this thing. So I think we get a free pass today. And this way, Ali and David, you guys got to run the show. It's yours. Go ahead.
Oh, man, no way. Don't put it on me.
Well, unfortunately, I still have to watch my kid after this, so I can't get too wasted or I'll fall into the typical unemployed musician getting drunk in the middle of the day with his children.
That's the best kind of drunk.
Is that a category?
All you need is a white tank top.
Just rub a little whiskey on his gums and you'll chill out.
Exactly. I'm a living cliche.
What are you guys drinking?
Honey Jack whiskey.
Ibiki whiskey.
Beautiful whiskey.
Yeah, it's delicious.
There you go, mezcal.
There you go, mezcal in the house.
Yeah, this was given to me yesterday by a good friend David Durrell, and he was direct from the source from a great Mexican restaurant in Berlin called Chaparro. So and the guy gets these small batch bottles. So thanks, Dave, and visit the restaurant. There you go.
Nice.
Little plug.
Oh, what about you? You got the apple juice going, huh?
Yeah. Apple juice.
Seriously?
Honey whiskey in here, so
flask.
Something sweet.
I got out yesterday. I wanted to get a 1742 bottle, these expensive tall ones, that usually were standing behind the big DJ's DJ booth. But I got it. So
you could have got, Chris, you could have got a bottle of Sven's Specials water or something instead, though, maybe.
Sven's Special water. That's another story. How do you know about that story?
You told me that story.
All right. Did I?
You got the rally.
All right.
I think I have a miniature version of one of those tequilas that Ali has on his desk.
Yeah, Ali, what is this?
Yeah, they make this little ones too, yeah.
I have one.
I have a drawer in my house of just like tons of really old alcohol I've been collecting over the years. And I found this nearly empty bottle of Coralejo, tequila from from Mexico. That's the, you can tell I already started drinking this, huh?
Yeah, that's good. That's good tequila.
It's very, very good tequila. Reposado.
So, how was everyone's week?
Yeah. Maybe we should bring Dan in.
You don't want to know how my week was? I'm disappointed in you. I thought like over the past 9 weeks we've established some sort of structure to this show.
Okay, how was your week?
How was your week? Yeah.
So Chris, you start. How was your week?
I don't really feel like that you guys are interested enough.
I mean, what could possibly be different this week than last week? Besides,
he said he was busy when we first jumped on before we were live.
Yeah. You didn't elaborate on that.
I did.
You didn't.
You didn't. Yeah.
I made some asparagus today and some strawberries.
Nice.
Was that a vegan sausage in the photo as well?
Yes, it was. I tested it. It was kind of okay. It was kind of right. Yeah. But that was only today. What else did I do? Really like any other week. I did a tutorial online. You can find it on YouTube.
I saw that. It was really good.
It took me 12 minutes to make and 2 minutes to upload. It was so efficient and effective. It's great.
What was the tutorial about?
People were asking me, someone, just one person maybe, I just try to make it sound like more important, like people were asking me how I make my mixes, my AM, FM, my radio mixes sound so amazingly great, better than they actually sound. Wow. So I shared my tricks online in a little quick YouTube video, which is not really a big trick, but
watch later folder.
Yeah, put it in the watch later folder. You can find it on my YouTube channel. And yesterday I did another one. I didn't upload it yet, but I did another one about hi-hats and side chaining. Nice. So I guess the way I do it is just I'm sitting in front of my computer working on stuff, and when I come across a certain thing, I just hit the screen record and I comment what I'm doing. I guess that's what people maybe are interested in.
Are these like live tutorials, or are you just recording? Are you just recording videos and posting them?
What do you mean?
Are these like? Are you doing like a live video tutorial, or are you just recording a video and posting it?
No, it's just a recorded video. Like while I do it, I do a screen recording and it records my microphone, so I'm talking on top of what I'm doing on screen. Okay. It's super simple with QuickTime. And then I just export the little movie, and it has the audio and your screen capture basically in there. I mean, I haven't, I don't know if I'm going to continue doing this, but it was a lot of fun doing this. But I'm sure you can get way more fancy and put a little, like, I need to ask Kyle how he does it when you put in like this little picture of yourself.
With his face, yeah, he's got that down now.
He's got that down. So
Chris,
that was.
How did you discover that trick of rolling off the super subby kind of frequency to make the bottom end, I guess, jump out a bit more, or make the overall mix less cluttered sounding? I'm
a clever guy, I guess. No. I think it's kind of always good to get rid of excess sub bass, which I always see it in a way like this is something big bottom endish. And you maybe, when you play stuff in the club, it can't kind of deal with this big bottom end, and you kind of like giving so much energy into the amps that the amps basically just produce a muddy signal, and also the speakers can't handle it. So if you get rid of that energy below there, which you don't really hear anyways, below what, let's say like 30 hertz, but sometimes you feel it, so you have to be careful of what you're taking away in that lower region. But it really cleans up your mix, and I always feel like it gives the rest a little bit more air, and the energy, the balance of the mix is a little bit more spread out to the high and the low end. And you're not even losing any low end. You're actually gaining low end by doing it. Mm. Especially if you put a little bit of a resonance in there at whatever frequency we're talking about. That's always kind of different.
Have you been to the nail salon this week?
Yeah. The nail salon was my daughter, and I felt like, yeah, let's do some nails again.
Is that dark green, or is it black, or what have you gone for?
Let's dark green.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris does that.
Good with the shots. It's kind of like looking good with the shots. Does it?
Nice.
Chris, do you also EQ your channel strips in Antelope Audio?
No, do you?
You don't know?
No, I usually want to go with a neutral way, because I always believe everybody who mastered the track or mixed the track down did it in his own best possible way. And everything sounds a bit different, so I would never know what setting to use, or I basically would use a different setting for each track, right? How do you do that?
No, I don't do it either. And I remember you telling me one day, we were talking about like in Tractor, like enabling auto gain and the limiter. And you were like, no, dude, leave it off. Like, you want a clean signal.
Yeah. Yeah, I always believe in having the least amount of processing going on before you go into your mixer, in a way.
Makes sense.
Are we still talking about last week now or not?
You are. Well, no. It started with you, and then we got into a whole thing.
All right.
That's what's gonna happen if we ask everyone. It'll turn into a whole thing, and then poor Dan will be waiting like an hour, and then he'll come in like the very end.
Maybe we should get our guest on if no one wants to talk about their week.
No, well, let's Mo. How about you, Mo? We can't hear you now.
He's muted himself.
Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got back in the studio, and I'm actually been productive finishing some music, which is impressive since I've been on such a cold streak for a while. Starting a lot of stuff, but never finishing it. So that's been good, and I've been teaching some classes online as well, like one-on-one courses with some students on some production tips and stuff like that. It's been fun, and this weekend we're doing, 20 years in a row now, I think we've been going to Detroit for Movement Festival.
Wow, yeah.
And this is the very first year ever that Movement has been canceled due to this, which is really crazy. This is the first time I've been home on Memorial Day weekend nearly 20 years. So
I think that is a perfect moment to give a shout out to the Paxahau guys, to the Detroit Movement.
Yeah.
Friends, everyone, guys, we miss you this year.
Yeah, dude. For us here in the States, it's an incredibly important festival for us.
Yeah.
Just being in such a city that's so important to the music that we love, and also reuniting with all of anyone who's involved with techno in North America travels to this festival. So it's like a huge reunion. But unfortunately, the festival is not happening, but they are hosting a live stream with a bunch of DJs who were going to be playing the festival, and I contributed a mix. David contributed one as well. So I don't know what time David's playing, but I'll be on from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time.
I think I'm on before you on Sunday. It's on Sunday, right?
Oh, great. So you'll be opening for me. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm playing at 140 BPM, by the way.
Ah, shit. Rode me out. But yeah, that was my week.
Right on. Ali?
Well, I decided to grow a beard. I don't know why.
Yes, you got a little.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing with being kind of stuck at home, feeling like a hermit. So I don't know. I decided to give it a go. I didn't realize how white it was going to be. Fucking white.
You're not alone, man.
I've never really had a beard, but I don't know. It's an interesting look. I did besides the reggae stream that I do every Sunday, and now I moved the more deep house kind of techno stream to Tuesdays. Besides that, I did something for Beatport and Mac for their benefit, which was very cool. A lot of views. I went on after Teneglia, and I was watching his stream while cooking before I started mine. And how he played conjured up so many memories of, Matt can probably attest to this, of those marathon sets in Miami. Just that very specific signature groove that Teneglia has. I don't know where he finds the records. He's doing a lot of re-edits of things. And it was really, really, I hadn't heard him in that context, like in a long time. I think, he was really excited, with, doing these streams where he doesn't really have an audience. He doesn't have to worry about like the dance floor. He's kind of just playing for himself, and you can kind of feel that it comes through. So that was really, really nice to watch. That's pretty much it.
I was able to catch one of his sets at Nikki Beach in, I think, 2006 once, one of his marathon sets, but it was the only time I've ever seen him live in my life.
Yeah, he's unbelievable DJ.
Matt, how's your week?
Yeah, pretty much the same, but we've been kind of slowly interacting more with friends. Stefan Dixon came over with his wife for dinner, and it was interesting chatting to him about what's going on and how we're going to moving forward. And he was talking a lot about football and the football games in Germany and how they're having these unattended matches and you know, how maybe if they can get attended games, this will also have an effect on whether clubs start again. I also had a long chat with Matthias Caden, and he was telling me that there's possibility that the club that he's involved with will reopen in September. It's a 500 capacity club, but they'll only be able to have 200 people within the club. And but they have to make a lot of changes. They have to have doubles the security. All the staff have to be trained. They have to build another. They have to build an exit, basically another entrance for the club, and yeah. So it's interesting, getting like a lot of different sort of views on what's going on here in Germany. So yes, I mean, from Stefan thinks it may reopen earlier than we think. So I don't know. I don't know if Chris has heard anything different, but it's interesting. It's also interesting. Matthias Caden, who we should get on the show, I think, he was saying that there's a lot of non-believers in Germany of the coronavirus. Even DJs that are friends of his who don't believe that it's actually happening, which I find crazy.
I see those people posting on Facebook.
I read somewhere that there's a huge population of people in Germany who are big believers in this QAnon conspiracy.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, why Germany?
I don't know, dude. There's one famous, like semi-famous cook who's like really into this, and then this famous soul singer we have, Xavier Naidoo, who are really like pushing this. And it's if it wasn't serious, so funny to watch actually what kind of idiotic statements these people make and where they get their ideas from. I don't understand it. I don't know, but it's somehow grabbed and some part of Germans, and it's just going around. Maybe it was just a powerful Facebook group or something like this. I don't know. Maybe Xavier Naidoo, the soul singer, because he's famous and he does these things. I don't know.
I mean, because I felt like maybe it contributes to the disbelief of the coronavirus.
Yeah. I mean, I've just been for some beers with Spencer Parker and Ian Pooley, and because Ian's leaving Berlin, and so we had this sort of drinks. And I mean, in Berlin, it's kind of like everything's like back to normal. All the restaurants are open, everyone's hanging out.
Yeah, no one gives a shit anymore.
No, yeah, it's kind of it's strange. I mean, if you do go to a bar or a restaurant, you have to sign a waiver. You have to literally sign a form that you've been there and stuff like that, which is obviously great. But I mean, I was on the tube yesterday traveling to Mitte. There's people wearing masks just on their nose, just on their chin. You know, it's a joke. I mean, people really aren't taking it seriously. So, yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to hear what our guest has to say about it living in the UK. So
that's what I was thinking. Shouldn't we hear how life in Bristol is?
Yes, bring him in.
So our guest today is Mr. Eats Everything.
You're not supposed to be hosting, Chris.
Huh?
You're not supposed to be hosting.
I'm sorry. But I'm the one who gets him in. I have to admit him to the show. We have him on the show. I'm sorry we had to wait. Let you wait so long, dude.
Hey, Dan.
Sorry, it's all right. How you doing, chap? Look at Ali's got a full beard. I've never seen that before. How you doing? You good?
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Good,
Drinks everything.
Yeah. Cheers, how we doing? You good?
Yes, guys.
Oh, shot. Is it shot? Is it? Hang on.
Well, I'm sipping mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't have to.
Jägermeister? Oh God.
One. Just one. Cheers, chaps.
Might as well just be drinking codeine.
Oh.
That's a lovely tapestry right behind you. Where are you?
It's not a tapestry. It's actually wallpaper.
Oh, is it not the same thing?
I don't know. We call it wallpaper in England. I don't know where you're from. Maybe you have tapestry on the wall everywhere. We just have straight up wallpaper.
Is that the same thing?
No,
Tapestry?
I think it's being sarcastic.
Oh.
How are we doing, guys? You good?
Very good.
Yeah. We were just talking about how Berlin is kind of somewhat back to normal. People are out and drinking and hitting the beer gardens, and clubs might be opening in September. What's up?
I heard that no dancing, but no dancing right outside.
I don't know. Is that true, Matt?
There are no dancing. So I was told that Gerd Jansen is probably the only person. This is funny, actually. He's doing a gig next week in Munster, and it's some outdoor rave or outdoor festival, and it's 1,000 capacity. The area, but only 200 people can be in this field or wherever, and everything's divided by blankets. So
really.
And so you're DJing, and then they separate everyone, so everyone has their meter or 2 meter space. But I mean, I said to Stefan, to Dixon yesterday, I was like, can someone please film this, because we've got to see how this is going to work. You know, is this the future?
I don't think it's ideal. No.
It's gonna be like little. They're gonna be little bubbles in the dance floor that you can dance with 2 people inside.
Yeah, but I think in I mean, Chris maybe can tell us but in Germany, I think at the moment everything is a 10 p.m. Curfew regarding pubs and whatever, whether it's a beer garden, and there's a no dancing rule as well that's imposed as well. So
yeah, I heard that. No dancing at all. Just
no.
And they're selling pizza and stuff, but you can't actually dance.
Yeah.
You're gonna be sitting there eating pizza, and someone's playing like some peak time techno.
Yeah, it's not going to work, is it?
The micro house pizza at CDV.
What do you guys think of like the drive-in concerts or festivals that will potentially?
That sounds like it might be a disaster.
Yeah. I think I'd rather stay home.
Just people in their cars drinking, doing drugs.
Yeah, it sounds like, who's going to be the designated driver on that one? That's a fucking short straw to pull, in it. Yeah. You're the one that's we're all going to get battered, but you've got to sit and you've got to drive. Like, it's not going to work, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Have you guys ever been to a drive-in
Uber
experience?
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of times. There's quite a few of them around our area here in Los Angeles.
Really?
Like old ones from the 70s, but they still exist. I actually have a friend of mine in Miami who's looking to buy a couple here in California and revamp them.
Into raves or into cinemas?
Into cinemas. He wants because the drive-in theaters that we have here, they're kind of run down, and they do like swap meets on Sundays there, like on the field. But he wants to like redo it and make it as modern as possible. So we'll see how it goes.
It's a great date night kind of activity.
I'm good with it. I'm good with a drive-in movie theater. Fuck off! I'm not going to a drive-in concert though. That's not.
No.
Dan, what about you? Drive-in concert?
No. Me, no. I mean, they're doing this. There's doing some in the UK. There's a group of guys doing like, I think 6 or 7 all around the country. They're involved with Boomtown Festival, but they're not actually the people that run Boomtown, but they do a stage there or something. And they're doing like huge ones. But I don't know, I can't see how that, I haven't seen the videos of the ones that all the cars are in a line. I just can't see how that would be enjoyable for anyone, for the DJ or the people in the vehicle. I don't know. And then they all tuned into a radio frequency. Is that what it is?
Is that how it is?
Yeah, I think it's all on a DAB or whatever signal, and you all tune in, and you've all got it in your motor. I don't know, man.
So who's got the biggest sound system, basically?
Yeah, basically. Max Power Days.
But then,
we're not going to see you and Fatboy Slim on stage playing to a bunch of people in their cars.
A bunch of cars.
It's not going to work, is it? It's just not going to work.
Yeah,
no, it's not going to work. No, I think I'll leave it.
But then what would be the circumstances that you would go back to DJing? Would it be like Gerd does next week in Münster with towels between you? Because one comedian, I saw a video of a German comedian, Helge Schneider, who basically did an announcement and say like, you know what? I've saved enough money. I don't really need to do anything right now. So I'm only going to come back when I can come back and everything is back to where it was. So I'm not going to do a show in front of people where they have to sit 2 meters apart. I'm not going to do a show in front of people. I'm not going to do any shows until it's normal. So that's obviously a really extreme position, or maybe not. And then you have others who are willing to go to, what is it called? Drive-in concerts?
Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. So where's your threshold? Where's your limit? What are you willing to do? Or
I mean, for me, I want it to be, for me personally, I want the people to be safe, but it to be worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no, for me personally, I can't see the point in going to a rave where you've got to be 2 meters from the next person. How is it? How are you going to how is a bouncer going to police loads of people off their head, like gurning their tits off or whatever they're doing, and you're trying to stop them from hugging each other? Like it's just impossible. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. So until it can either be some kind of immunity, I said this in an interview the other day, unless you can get some kind of immunity card, or although we don't know whether you're immune once you've had it, but if there's, further down the line, when the science says that once you've had it, you're sound, then for me, I think that's the only way, really, because social distancing raving is everything that raving isn't, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like I was thinking the other day, just think about how before this whole COVID-19 thing it's not like streaming software is this magical new thing that just appeared to us. It's always been there, and none of us ever fucking used it.
No.
Other than like maybe a boiler room or something, like it's hardly been touched. And the reason why is because as much as we'd like to say that, people are so stuck on the internet and looking at a screen, there is still a desire for the social aspect, and that's why nobody gave a shit about streaming before, and they actually went out to parties.
But Mo, I think that's, ultimately, especially for a lot of scenes, that's what it's all about. It's the sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Exactly.
The interaction of being with people, especially when you're young. Everyone wants to meet each other. The music can be secondary, in fact, to that pleasure, of just being around people, so.
Yeah, so I don't really think that doing these kind of driving things or distancing thing is solving that social interaction.
No.
It's just basically streaming in a different format. And that makes sense.
It'll just be like a novelty for a little bit, and then eventually people are gonna be like, nah, it's not the same.
I was about to say that. I think I see people like taking part in it, being like, "Oh, let's do it," because it seems novel and like a great idea and some sort of social experiment. And then the next time it comes around, like,
Mo and David and Ali, can you get the antibody tests in the States now? Can you have the blood tests?
Yeah.
I think you have to get it from a doctor prescribed, but yeah,
it's possible.
I did it. Yeah,
you did it, and
it was negative. Yeah.
So you haven't had it. You haven't.
No, I called my doctor, my primary care physician, we call it here, and he said, yeah, you can come, and I'll give it to you, and you just sit in your car, you stick your hand out, and we prick your finger, and in 15 minutes you'll have the results.
And you've not had it. So you came back.
No, I don't have the antibodies, which means I never got it.
Yeah. But how is it in the UK, Dan? Can you have the test easily?
No, you can't yet. Obviously, our government are fucking the worst. Almost as bad as America. But
that's why I don't live there anymore.
Yeah, it's but for us, I'm getting load off, not off the black market, shall we say, but I'm getting a friend has got a load, and I'm going to just get them from him for 60 quid. You've got to pay money. It's crazy. They have got them, but they haven't got them yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's for the vulnerable people and the key workers, etc. They're available for them, but not for the general public yet. So but there's still people out on the piss. I don't know if you saw the videos of England yesterday, but it's obviously it was hotter than a bit. Every time it's hot in England, they boast about how it's hotter than Ibiza, and fucking for one day of the year it's actually warm. And the amount of people on beaches was it was mind blowing. Just tens of thousands of people, like in Devon and stuff. All the car parks full, and just people parking double yellow lines, or just cars everywhere, and just people on beaches, no social distancing. Just crazy.
You know what I noticed the other day in LA? Originally, the day the city was proposed to be open was May 15th, months ago. And then, of course, they announced that they're pushing back to August 1st. But on the 15th of May, I had to go in my car to go pick up my son, and I went out in the streets, and the freeways were packed by people. It's almost like nobody got the memo that the date was pushed back further. There was like, it's May 15th, city's open.
Yeah.
And they just kind of went out. The beaches were packed. I mean, it's the same thing. People were just.
Where are you, Ali? Are you in DC or in Toronto?
I'm in Washington, D.C.
And what's it like there?
I mean, things are still pretty bad, but we're starting to open up gradually, even though the cases have been increasing right alongside the gradual reopening of a lot of states. I'm kind of just keeping to myself and monitoring everything and sipping tequila.
Cheers.
You fun folks.
Cheers, chaps. Cheers.
Cheers.
And Ali, you had, sorry, not Chris, you had the test again, didn't you? You had the antibody test.
Yeah, I had the antibody test because 2 weeks ago I felt really sick for 24 hours.
Right.
And I asked my doctor, my primary care physician? It's so fancy. And he was like, all right, we can do this antibody test. Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't have it. But we don't really know yet how reliable those tests are, really. We don't really know shit about this virus, to be honest, aren't we?
The reason I ask is basically Stefan Dixon, he was in China in November, and they did a party in London, and another friend of ours, Bruno Trick, was playing at the party, and 15 people from the party got super sick, all with the same symptoms, which they ultimately perceived it was this coronavirus, right? So and this was in December. So we're trying, and two of the people that were at the party have now had the antibody test, and they've been positive. So it would seem that, it was around a lot earlier than people said. And maybe a lot of us have maybe already, like you said, we've already had it. We don't know.
I think I had it again in November. I played in Asia somewhere, I can't remember where. And then I came back and I did what I did with Uncle Dave, Dave, we did a tour.
Yeah, you got sick.
Yeah, I got sick. And remember, I was coughing like crazy. All I had was this uncontrollable cough and a mad temperature. And I had it for like a week. And then I got like the aches and stuff. But I was super, and I'd just been to Asia, and it was when it first started, Daniel Avery texted me, because he was there with us in Fabric, and he goes, dude, you had like proto-corona, you had it in November, it's like early November, but I was so fucking ill, like an illness I'd never had before, like this uncontrollable cough. I could not, no matter what I did, I couldn't stop coughing. So I think, I haven't taken a test, but I reckon I might have had it way back then.
Yeah.
How does it occur? Would it still show up if you did, or is that too long?
Yeah, I think it's like 8 months. It stays in your bloodstream for some. Oh
wow! You should try it.
Yeah.
Because I was with you. I was hanging out with you in the booth.
Yeah,
I never got sick after, even though we were
kissing and hugging.
Yeah, we were hugging the whole shebang. I was having hot toddies in the booth. I was that ill. I had a bottle of whiskey, a kettle, lemons, honey in the booth, boiling the kettle and drinking it. It's ridiculous. I've never had that before. And I spilled honey all over the floor in the Fabric Room 1 booth. So the floor was like super sticky, and it was ridiculous.
That sounds like fun.
I remember I was doing a gig in Macedonia a long time ago, and I got super sick, and the promoter told me that I should sip cognac during my set, like the whole set. I was doing like a 4-hour set. So I must have drank like half the bottle of the cognac. He was drinking with me. And the next day I woke up and felt like nearly 100% better.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Maybe that's,
I don't know. The power of alcohol. I don't know.
I did that one time. One time I played at Berghain. I was really, really sick. And I remember I was only drinking vodka and cranberry juice. And by the next day, it was gone. Like I had a fever and a cough.
Were you
I don't know if
other stuff as well?
No. At that time, I didn't do anything else. Yeah. It's just
Oh, really?
alcohol, and I
It's
felt
not-
good. I felt great.
It's like one of those like Mexican home remedies where you give a kid a shot of tequila when he's got a cold or something.
But I was drinking vodka and cranberry juice, and I felt fine after. The fever went away, the cough.
Wow. It's crazy.
Maybe we should do a survey. Maybe some other people out there had the same experience. By the way, that reminds me that not only Justin, Juice Productions, Justin is running the show again and distributing it everywhere. Andy, our producer, is back. Hello, Andy.
Hello,
and,
Andy.
And he's monitoring the chats everywhere. Is he everywhere? Really? And so ask your questions, and Andy's going to pick them out, and we're going to get Andy on sooner or later. And at that point, we might be still able to talk and answer your question, right?
I hope so.
There's a chance we won't be able to, though. There's a good chance.
No.
A good
So,
chance.
Dan, where are you at the moment?
I'm in Bristol. I mean, I've had to move my studio. Well, not my studio. I've got my speakers and a MIDI keyboard, and that's literally I bought over because my studio's like away from my house,
Okay.
and so that got closed right when when lockdown was going to happen. They kind of preempted me and said, look, you're going to have to, if you want to make music, you're going to have to get some of your stuff. So I brought it home. And so I've literally just got a set of speakers, a MIDI keyboard, and my laptop. That's it.
So where's your normal? So your base is in Bristol.
No, I live in Bristol. My studio's in Bristol, but it's in a big rehearsal room. It's over like about 7 or 8 miles away.
And I have to ask you, what's happening with this the Miss Honey track? Is it coming?
It's cool because you did a remix of the. I can't really say.
Yeah, Nick Harris called me about this, so I just wondered, is it coming out?
Yeah, it's coming out, but I can't really go into the full story because I'd be like bad mouthing certain people if I did. So, but
it's coming out.
I can, but it's
coming out. Is it coming out on FFRR? Or?
Yeah, FFRR. Yeah, it was one of those ones I made like just purely on a whim to play at a gay party.
Yeah.
And when one of those records that went crazy. Like people asking for it and over and over and over. And then, when Andy Daniel, who used to work at Defective, moved to FFRR,
right.
he was the one that sort of got it over the line and pushed it. And in the time when you can't gig, putting out music,
have you got a release date with this now, or
June the 12th.
Oh, okay, cool, wicked. You send it to me if you can.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's like an old like New York house, early Armand Van Helden kind of stuff.
Cool.
With the Miss Honey vocal, it's one of those ones that it works. No matter what you're playing, but yeah, it was the story behind it is quite. I'm sure Nick kind of filled you in.
Yeah.
But it was a bit shifty, but I can't say any more than that.
But no, congrats anyway. That's good.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Dan, you've always lived in Bristol, huh?
Always. No, I lived in Ibiza for 1 year. Other than that, I've always lived in Bristol. Always.
And how was the Bristol scene with groups like Massive Attack, Wild Bunch, Portishead, Ronnie Size? Was that a big part of your upbringing? Was that was that the spark for you? That incredible scene that was there?
I mean, with the Bristol as well as all that, you also had like a lot of raves, big raves in the southwest, sort of in and around the sort of Bristol area, and that's kind of. I'm a big fan of drum and bass and jungle. That's like my first things I was into was drum and bass, jungle, and like super hard techno. They were I suppose like probably most of us, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're into like really ridiculously hard music and. Yeah, especially Ronnie Size and Die and those guys. They've definitely been an influence on, my early life as a producer, DJ.
Yeah, those guys are amazing.
So it's an amazing place for music. It's, it's quite. There's a lot of stuff that's come from it, like unique stuff that's come from this quite a small city, and it's inspiring. Like Massive Attack, for example, it's an inspiring place to come from.
And obviously you started DJing in Bristol then too, right? What kind of time frame? We know each other since, I don't know, we met one time at an Awakenings, right?
Yeah. We loads online before that. We couldn't believe that we'd never actually met.
Never really ran into each other before.
I think the first time anybody meets you, it's like we've known you for ages. Like you're very
I'm a friendly cunt. I'm friendly.
You're a friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was happy that you're the guest. You know, usually with our guests, half of us is like, "Oh my god!" But this time it was like,
What can you say? Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers to that, chaps. Thanks very much for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
How incredibly insecure we have just made all the rest of our guests.
Yeah.
I was joking.
That's Chris's MO. To make half of us uncomfortable or half the guests uncomfortable. So, Dan, how did you and Uncle Dave meet?
I was just gonna say, I think
we met on a plane.
Yeah, you were like, we were both flying to Detroit weekend for movement, and you were like super hungover.
Yeah,
and
right there.
On the plane as well.
Where did you play the night before that night?
Oh, fucking
was it
somewhere? Where was it? Where was the flight from?
Sound? Is it Sound?
Oh, in LA. Yeah, LA. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it's cool. I like that place. That's a good nightclub. That Sound in LA. That's a really good nightclub.
So we were both flying from LA to Detroit, and then I remember I knew you through email and stuff, and then I was like, wait, is this? Hey, I introduced myself, and yeah, super cool. You were super nice, but I can tell you were just like battered. You were.
Yeah, I wasn't in a good.
It was like immediate, like covers over the eyes, and just like leaning on the window, falling asleep.
Yeah, I don't think I'd been to sleep, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But like, we've all been there. We've all been there 100 times. So
it's such an awkward thing when you meet a DJ that you know whose work you respect or whatever, you followed for a long time. You meet him for the first time on a flight, and you're both sort of completely wasted. You haven't slept yet, and that is quite awkward. That's meeting.
It's like the worst time.
Yeah, because you're excited to meet each other. You want to chat, but like you're in no position to. And it's just it's you put the hoodie on and you kind of
But I knew. I mean, like once I saw him, I wasn't gonna try to chat his ear off. I was like, all right, man, do your thing on the flight. I'll see you when we land.
And you used to live in Berlin. I mean, I think there's always these flights going back to Berlin from Frankfurt on Sunday afternoon, which are just full of DJs.
Yeah.
Like with their hoodies up like this. Yeah. Like, don't talk to me.
Sunglasses.
And I remember every time I would play Movement, I had to fly to Ibiza to do Circo Loco on the Monday. So I was always like going straight from the stage, literally to the airport, to catch that last flight to I don't know, Frankfurt or Munich or whatever, to then, go to Ibiza. So leaving Movement was always an interesting experience for me.
Movement's this weekend, right?
Getting there, yeah.
Can I interrupt for a second and ask who is Uncle Dave? Is that you, David?
Yeah, Dave, Uncle Dave. He's
You're the one drinking apple juice. You're the one drinking apple juice here?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell the quick story of why they call me Uncle Dave, because I was on a little tour with Dan and his crew in the UK in November, and I don't know. I think you were like, do you mind if we call you Dave? And I was like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. Like I said, my brother and his wife, they call me Uncle Dave. So like, I'm used to saying Dave, and they're like, oh, Uncle Dave. So ever since then,
that's it. From then on, it was just, and everyone just fell in love with Uncle Dave. Like, about 7 or 8 people, and we had such a wicked time, didn't we? We had a fucking
great. It was a lot of fun.
I thought there was going to be something deeper to that story.
No, it's just
because they were
mentorship or something.
Like off the bat, they were just calling me Dave, and it's like, you don't mind if we call you Dave? I was like, no, it's fine. Some people call me Dave, David, and I said Uncle Dave, and yeah,
that's it, Uncle Dave.
It's stuck.
We tend to call you El Davies.
Bob's your uncle.
My LA friends, El Davies, it's like the kind of like the Mexican slang version of David.
Or Tio Dave.
Oh, what?
Tio Dave.
Tio Dave. Yeah.
And Mo and Dan, have you met actually?
I don't think we've ever met.
No, we've not. No, we've not. No. Hello.
But we are.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's strange meeting someone in a chat online perspective for the first time. But Uncle Dave says you're really sound, so I'm going to take his word on it.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
But Dan, I'd really love to go back to the question because I'm really curious of how things in Bristol started for you, because I'm always curious about how DJs started their careers. And I think a lot of people are interested in that as well, as they might be wanting to start their own careers. Like, how did it start for you in such a music place as Bristol? Like,
I started DJing when I was
did you sneak into a club and just kicked out the DJ, or what?
No, I started DJing when I was 12. I was from a really small town in about 25 miles from Bristol, and a lot of my friends had older brothers, and I used to play the drums when I was a kid. From like the age of 8 to 11, I played the drums, and I was round a friend's house, and his older brother, a guy called Mark Parkins, had a set of decks, and he said, "Oh, why don't you have a go?" And I was like, I like the music. And I started, it was old school hardcore, like breakbeat, like piano-y UK hardcore stuff. And I could do it straight away because obviously playing the drums, it lends itself to timing and stuff like that. And then my mum then got me a set of decks, Christmas 92, 93. And then, and that was it. And then I won a DJ competition from a hero of mine, DJ Easy Groove, who was from Bristol, but he was like, in the 90s, it was Carl Cox and Easy Groove. They were like the two main headliners. But Easy Groove's now a crackhead who lives in a flat in a basement in St. Paul's. But at the time, he ran a DJ competition for a resident. And I won the competition and became resident when I was 16 at a club. And that's how it started, basically.
Are you from further south, like Western, or are you from where?
I'm from Waterton-under-Edge. So it's like... It's in between Bristol and Gloucester, like slap bang in between Bristol and Gloucester.
I mean, I used to play a lot of free parties near Aberystwyth. And
yeah.
Mid-90s, like Talibont and...
Yeah, just over the bridge.
Yeah, did you ever go to any of the Mid-Wales parties?
No, I didn't, because they were like... I was at the time when they were happening, that was like 92, 93, 94, right?
Yeah, it was like up to about 90, I think it was what was this act that went through with when they started stopping the parties? I think it was like
94.
Yeah, 94. So I think about 94, 95 was the height of these parties. Some of the parties I played at were like 3,000, 4,000 people in like a National Trust forest. They were amazing, like by lakes, huge sound systems, incredible. But yeah,
my older mates used to go to those, but I was only 13, 14 then. But I would then start going to Dreamscape in Milton Keynes. That was the first at the Sanctuary in Milton Keynes. That was the first thing I went to in 1994. And yeah, it was always the only thing I've ever been vaguely good at. I've been sacked from every job I've ever done. But every job I've done, I've been a builder, a recruitment consultant, an electrician, fucking everything. And I've been fired apart from, I'm yet to be fired from DJing. Yeah. But, well,
We've all sort of been fired.
Yeah. I think we collectively have been fired from DJing.
Laid off indefinitely.
And how did you always have the name Eats Everything, or how did that come about?
No, Eats Everything came about in like 2010. It was just because I eat a lot and I play everything. It's okay. Yeah. Because I do play everything. I'm not a house DJ or a techno DJ. I play, I enjoy, I collect it all, and I enjoy it all.
Yeah.
Did you go to some of these famous English clubs then in the late 90s, like Orbit Leeds or Hacienda or whatever?
Hacienda. Again, I was too young for Hacienda, but Ministry of Sound in its heyday, Fabric when it first opened. I mean, Ministry of Sound in the 90s was fucking amazing.
It was incredible.
I mean, I've been to watch you there, Ali. Ali knows how big a deep dish fan I am. I'm like a fucking proper deep dish fan. Yeah. And I've followed him around the country and watched him in loads of different places. Not followed him literally.
But it was you.
Yeah. Hello.
It was him.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Ministry of Sound in the 90s was fucking.
Yeah. But it was back then. It was a 6-point analog system. It was built around the Paradise Garage system. I mean, it was a Richard Long. It was incredible.
Matt, do you remember?
Used to make people sick there when they first opened it.
Yeah, I remember reading that in Mix Mag or Music Mag that people actually were vomiting.
Yeah.
Do you know what was really magical about that time is when Tony Humphries, who's like a legendary garage DJ, garage house DJ, he moved to London and he had that residency.
Yeah.
And then we would all see him at the Warsaw Ballroom during the Winter Music Conference in Miami. And he, you know, back then, if you didn't have the physical record, you didn't have it, that song.
Yeah.
So he would obviously, living in London, have access to all these crazy white labels and started to also absorb the European sound a bit.
Yeah.
And that started to influence his DJ sets. So he was like playing a lot of inner city, a lot of really techie, housey stuff. And he would come back with the most mind-blowing records that he would play for us in Miami during the conference. And once, you know, I really felt that vibe once I started going over to the UK and playing. And,
I mean, he did that first Ministry of Sound, the first ever Ministry of Sound compilation was Tony Humphries, and I bought that. That's the first dance music record I ever bought was that. It was like a 2 vinyl thing, and it's some fucking still tunes I still play now on there, like amazing. Like late 92, wasn't it? Early 93. Yeah, it was. I mean, the UK is great. Obviously, I really don't know what it's going to be like now. I've got, like you guys, wherever you are. Are we going to be DJs just in our own like country, or where we can get to by car for the foreseeable future?
I think that's probably what's going to happen for the next maybe 6 months at least. No.
Initially, it's going to be regional and local. Yeah.
Regional and local. Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that personally.
I mean, what about
farm to table DJs?
But I'm sure you guys have discussed this, right? Many times on here, because obviously it's, you know, it's all over the place. So it's, you know, we're in it. But we've obviously further on from this, what are we? You know, travel's going to be a fucking nightmare now. It's not going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a lot harder.
Right.
Well, the other thing is like different countries are going to have different restrictions. So it's not going to be so easy to go, you know, hopping from one place to another. That's why it's going to end up being regional. So if you have a gig in Barcelona, let's say, you're probably going to end up doing like a 2-3 week tour in Spain.
But Ali, do you think that there's going to be? Do you think there's going to be?
The other thing is like different countries are going to have different restrictions. So it's not going to be so easy.
It'll be Mo.
One place to another. That's why it's going to have.
You Mo?
Barcelona.
How is that happening?
Hey,
it was Uncle Dave.
I was going to ask Ali. I mean, isn't there going to be a situation where there's certain DJs, once things start opening up, there's going to be a lot of private parties by rich people who employ DJs to come and play for them. And I think that's one thing that's certainly going to happen, where there's going to be a lot of illegal, or not say illegal, but private parties where maybe a lot of maybe more celebrity DJs might have said no to playing at these things before are going to go, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this now.
Yeah, of course.
Sure. Yeah, that's bound to happen. I mean, I've never been the guy that gets called in to do that special private villa.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of that. Plus, the scene is kind of going to go back underground a bit. So there's going to be a lot of the other.
Yeah, for sure.
End of the spectrum as well.
That sounds like elitist parties. But I also think that maybe on the countryside, it's going to be easier to start parties again, because when you have areas where there's no infections and they can prove there's no infections in a certain area, in the countryside where there's limited people and you can trace it really easily. And then there's hopefully going to be that thing that they call rapid paper test, which kind of like you just spit on it in a way, and then it changes color and it tells you if you have the virus or not. You know, like instantly, like within like 5 minutes. And I think a combination out of that, we probably play more on the countryside in old little clubs where it's easier to basically keep the people under control. And if there is an infection, you trace it back down. That would be kind of my idea, that this would be the way to start it.
maybe where the non-believers live.
Oh, right. The non-believers live. They come to all our parties.
I mean, yeah, I think out of the necessity to get things going again and open back up, you're going to see, you know, advancements, technological advancements that are going to, you know, come out that we're going to have to make a part of our, just like post 9/11, you know, how travel changed drastically post 9/11.
I mean, look, live streaming and everything's all well and good, but
yeah,
it's not great.
It's not the same. I just did a post about that, like, because I was looking at old videos and I'm like, I dig it, especially the reggae one, because I obviously can't do that as a DJ on the touring circuit. So yeah, it's not the same.
It's not. And
it's not the same, but I somehow enjoy it. I kind of see it as a nice way out.
I think it's good for us as the artist or the act or whatever. I think it's good. I enjoy the one I did. I really enjoyed doing it. Yeah. But it's more the
social interaction.
There's no satisfaction for the raver.
Yeah. Oh, it's very different. I totally agree. It's very different, but it has its merits.
I think with you, Chris, you're always pushing new music, and you're always playing new things, and you're always, you know, the way you're expressing yourself through your DJing, you're always representing something that I think is maybe fresh, but it's a little bit more than just maybe a live stream. It's more like a mixture between what you could be. It could be almost like a mixture between your radio show, but it's you being filmed, you know, and that of course that's great. I think if you're pushing something new and you're playing new music and you're promoting things that you hear, or, you know, new artists or whatever, or things that you love, then that's great. But if it's just a vehicle for, you know, like it's just pure vanity, then that's where I think it's wrong. You know?
I think for me, it's always been like pushing the signal out to an audience. Now, when we were, you know, pre-COVID, we were obviously doing it to a physical audience, and now there's some aspect of streaming that's exciting because you're sending this signal out to, you know, it's a global signal as opposed to like a local signal now, which is quite exciting. So you have the power to really, really, you know, we would always talk about educating the audience as we entertain them. But now you really have the power to like educate. I mean, I get a lot of people telling me, man, I didn't know like this style of reggae, you know, what do you call it? Is there a playlist? You know, I made a Spotify playlist for people to go discover, you know, all that great music that I'm really deep into it. And it's a big responsibility now of educating. Like you were saying, Dan, like you like to play everything. And it's a great opportunity for you to showcase how varied you can be.
That's what I've been doing. I've been doing this mix series called Quarantine, where I basically each week I get people, you know, followers or whatever you want to call them, to suggest tracks to me, and then I go through, compile them, and then through their suggestions and my own, you know, catalog of that style of music, I then do a mix and then make it available. And I've done piano riffs, garage, jungle, acid. What's the other one? I've just done the sixth one. The one I did today was techno, and I haven't played or listened to techno since lockdown started. I don't know why. I just it kind, well, because I was best playing mainly techno in clubs, and, you know, I run up to COVID, I was playing mainly techno clubs and pretty much only making techno. And then as soon as it happened, it kind of like, I kind of, what's the word? I'm not lost love, but just couldn't get into. I tried making techno and I couldn't. And then so it kind of, for me, to move to this studio at home and I couldn't make it. So, but then I did the techno mix today and I fucking loved, because DJing techno is the best. It's the most fun to mix because you know, you've got to be quick and you've got to, you know, you get through tunes quite quickly, don't you? And so, yeah, this series has been really good to just go through and learn. Because the thing is, when people are suggesting records to you, loads of the tunes people are sending me, I don't know them. So I'm getting all these amazing records from people. It's great. It's been a learning curve for me as much as it then, when I put the music back out, people can learn from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we're streaming on fire right now, guys.
Say again, sorry.
Go ahead, I'm gonna have a drink.
I think the complete stream just went dead. everywhere.
Yeah, I'm working on it, guys. We're just somehow.
What happened? It just.
What's the etiquette? I'm going to the toilet. Can I go to the toilet quickly?
Oh,
Yeah,
Of course.
You can disappear whenever you want.
Leave the door open so we can watch.
Hold on, just the stream stop doing.
Take the camera with you.
Want to see that.
Okay, we're back. We're back online.
Okay, we're back.
I'm sorry, everyone out there. Dan Eats Everything just went to the toilet.
Killed the stream.
we were interrupted with our stream. I have no idea why. I'm still learning this. We're all still learning this. But again, Andy is monitoring us in the background. So if you want to leave some questions, do it, because we're going to get him on very soon to answer those questions.
It might actually be a good time to bring Andy in now. I don't know.
Yeah. But I have another question. Dan, there was a balloon just flying behind you. Where did this come from?
It was my birthday a few days ago.
Oh, shit.
Happy belated birthday, dude. Why didn't you say this?
Happy birthday.
Well, you don't know, and cheers. It was my 40th birthday, so
Whoa.
yeah, it's not the best time to have not the greatest time to have a 40th birthday in lockdown, but
What's the day exactly? I'm putting it into my iCal so I don't
May the
forget.
12th.
It's my birthday next Friday, so it's.
Oh, is it? Mate, you're gonna have the same. Do you know what? My wife and my kid, it was really, and my mates did like a drive-by my house with like 20 cars all drive down the road, like beep 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 beep, happy birthday. It was great.
Wow.
So they because like normally for me anyway, I don't want to fuss or anything. I can't be the least fuss attention possible. Just drink booze and have a laugh with your friends. That's what you want to do. But lockdown, it's like you just sat at home with the same people you see every day. So
my birthday's on Christmas.
For me,
so it seems like you guys are finally experiencing what I've been experiencing.
Yeah, we are.
For me, it's always my birthday. It's always movement weekend, or I always play Panorama Bites. I mean, I remember many times spending movement with Chris over my birthday. It's always this weekend. It's crazy.
It's a good weekend to have it on. To be fair.
Yeah.
Your birthday's this weekend?
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yeah. So movement was always either the last weekend or the third weekend of May. Yeah.
Depending on when the last weekend falls, right?
Yeah.
Same as Glastonbury. What are you guys going to most miss this year? Out of all the things you would be doing, gigs wise or whatever, what's the one that's really like
this weekend?
I don't know.
Movement weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a friend the other day, and this guy, good friend of mine, Alessio, in Terracina in Italy, and we were just chatting, but it was just that, I don't know, I miss going to Italy and hanging out with friends, eating good food, and just sort of, it's that thing as well of just traveling and seeing old friends, which is now seems like such a distant sort of memory, So it's kind of strange.
Yeah, it's fucking strange. It's still strange.
Yeah, and like Mo was saying earlier, it's like, I mean, I haven't been going to Movement Detroit as long as he has, but for me, it's been at least the last 10 years. And it's just like every year, Memorial Weekend, it was like always going to Detroit, hanging there for at least 4 or 5 days, seeing all the friends. We throw a party there every Sunday night, and it's at least the last kind of be a bummer this weekend.
Yeah, man.
But
what about you, Ali?
Stream.
I mean, everything. I mean, I really miss my friends in Barcelona. Barcelona is my second home, so I haven't seen them since I was there last at the beginning of February for like 2-3 days. We actually did a benefit show that I helped put together with like 20-some DJs. I played back-to-back with Marco Ferroni for our friend Joan, whose restaurant was shut by the local city council. And we did, because his whole staff, everybody, who worked for him was out of work and in the state of limbo for 3 months. I think actually, no, 6 months they were forced to shut or something. So we did a fundraiser for him because he's a good friend. And he was opening again, I think mid-March, right around the time that COVID hit, and they obviously had to shut everything back down again. So he's kind of back to where he was. waiting to open again. It's really sad situation.
Ali, do you have like a residency in Spain? Can you go back if the borders open for you to travel? Is that possible?
I'm in the middle of sorting out the residency card. I think I can go, but you have to self-quarantine at home for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they monitor that. I don't know what forms they make you fill out if you're a foreigner, how that works. I'm not eager to find out right now either.
I know Mark, big shout out to Marco Farioni, but I know Marco managed to get from
he went
Barcelona.
to Ibiza.
He managed to finally get from Barcelona to Ibiza, I think yesterday or today. So
Oh, really?
So he's one of the lucky ones to be on this, like, I think it's going to be this tranquil, beautiful island this summer, right?
For a whole summer.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to happen there, is it? Like, big clubs wise anyway.
No.
I talked to my friend Nacho, he was doing the Monday nights with Ricardo at Amnesia. Everybody knows Nacho. He said he thinks certain clubs will open up, DC-10 and maybe Amnesia like September.
I can't see
August, September, but I can't see it. I mean, he's living on the island, so
yeah, I
don't know. But probably only one room, like Amnesia, maybe just the terrace, and obviously limited capacity. I don't know if they're going to have temperature checks.
Couldn't it be like in the late 70s, beginning of the 80s? You just have open air parties at really nice open air spaces, with just locals and some hippies that managed to get to the island.
Yeah, it would be amazing, wouldn't it, to be there and that to be go back to how it was for sure.
Yeah.
Chris, you always sound like you don't want the scene to come back.
No,
Chris.
I think it's right.
Chris is
Chris always sounds like he just doesn't want the parties. Like I think he's done. Are you just done?
Anyways, before we get Andy back on, Dan, one thing that I wanted to know, you found a partner in crime with Norman Cook, also known as Fatboy Slim. Somehow you're playing back-to-back sets. You have this carpool DJ thing, video. Have you been a fan of Fatboy Slim then before? And how was it when you met him? How is it to work with him? What's going on?
I mean, Norman, I was a big fan of Fatboy Slim in the early days, and all his other guys, his Freak Power, Pizza Man, obviously Mighty Dubcats, like so many A-listers.
Yeah.
And always a huge fan. I went to the first Big Beach Boutique in Brighton, where he basically roadblocked the city and no one could leave for something like 2. Did you live there then, Matt?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. He's like 250,000.
The beach parties there. You did.
Yeah, the first one.
Mass and stuff.
250,000 extra people came to Brighton and no one could leave because it got trains were gridlocked. Everything was gridlocked, so no one could leave. And I went to that, and his charisma. He's a fucking sound, very, 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 very sound bloke. And we just over years of just being, crossing paths, we became mates. And then I said, "Come and play back to back with me," and he was like, "No," because he doesn't do back to backs. And then he eventually agreed to do it in Glastonbury like 4 years ago. And before we went on, he said to me, "One condition: do not grab me too much. Do not grab." I'm quite like grabby and huggy and whatever.
He's also very sober now, right? So
yeah. Totally. And mate, he's dead, but he's totally sober 10 years.
Yeah.
And but then halfway through the set, he was like, he sort of grabbed me. He goes, "Why aren't you grabbing me?" Because he was expecting a little bit of grabbage, but not like I just didn't touch him at all. And he was like, "Hang on, where's all the grabbing gone?" And yeah, from then we just became friends. And then I said, "Look, let's come to my studio. Let's make a tune." And he's not made a tune in 10 years since he's been sober. The stories he's told me, they're sort of stories he's told me, so I can't tell them. But the stories he's told me about how the big records that he's made and how they were made and the influence he was under when he made them. And he sat in my studio when we're making a tune together. He came to Bristol and he came and he had a broom. I've got a picture where he had a broom. I had this broom in the corner of the studio, and I've got a big like plasma, not plasma, LCD screen, and he's pointing at the screen with this broom, going, "Do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that." And so I'm kind of engineering, and it's like, fuck me, Fatboy Slim is in my studio, and then we become friends, and for me, and he knows this, like musically, he wasn't always my thing for a period of time. Like the DJ stuff, the music he played wasn't really for me. And I think when we first did the back-to-back, we were both nervous about how I played very different music to what he does, but somehow it worked and we met in the middle, and it was wicked. And everyone said it was wicked. Everyone was like, that was really fucking good. For two people that have never played back-to-back and played quite different styles of music, to come together and just kind of meet in the middle. It was great. And then we just become mates from there.
Genre-wise, you guys went all over the place, or tempo-wise? Like, are you stuck to one tempo?
Yeah, we went from like 125 to 135, and went from, kind of Brazilian-y, drummy stuff to house to techno. We played for 4 hours, so we went everywhere. And he kind of he said, like, let me follow your lead, but I got to say, he fucking pulled out of the bag. He like sort of, he never really played EDM, but it kind of was on the cusp of.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't know that. He just fucking smashed it. Yeah, absolutely, it was brilliant.
Were you guys ever fans of the House Martins?
Well, he's in the House Martins. That's how he started, isn't it?
He was a bass player in the House Martins. That's how I know him from. And then I met him in Miami, I think in the early 90s. Because I followed what he was doing as Beats International.
Yeah, Beats, yeah.
Well,
Dub Be Good to Me.
Yeah.
He had a big hit with Dub Be Good to Me. Yeah.
I used to play that too a lot.
He's a great rapper. He's a fucking...
I'm trying to imagine Chris playing Dub Be Good to Me with his...
I still have tapes, dude. I still have tapes.
Yeah, mate, he's just a fucking... You must know him, Matt, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I was just going to say, I think in the UK, he was probably one of the first DJs who was really under the spotlight from the tabloid newspapers because of his wife, Zoe Ball. And I heard, that he was literally a prisoner in his own home for years because, he was just literally would have the paparazzi outside his house, and
it's crazy.
Yeah. So, but he was, he's a legend. And all the things he did. I mean, also, big shout out to the guys from Skin Records, and they did with like the Concord Club in Brighton, which was also, and also from this period, you've got guys like Christian Vogel, you've got a whole period of techno and electro that came from Brighton.
Yeah.
was huge, It was
Christian
real
Vogel's from Brighton.
Huh?
You say Christian Vogel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he was from Brighton. Yeah.
I always thought he was just a German guy, because
No.
I only know the music, but
yeah. So there was a huge melting pot of producers, and I'm going to look it up so I can tell you. But all the other guys that came from this period, it was great, and there was a lot. Also, especially in the 90s, there was so many free. Brighton was like a home to so many free parties, It was really
25, right?
Yeah, and also, Carl Cox had his residence.
He's from Brighton too.
Yeah, just down the road.
I have a geographical question. Is Brighton far away from Bristol?
About 3 hours. About 3 hours.
Is it the other sides or what?
No, it's so Bristol's like southwest, and Brighton's east.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jamie Liddell was the other one I wanted to mention.
Oh yeah, Jamie fucking hell, yeah, Jamie Liddell.
Yeah, and he worked with Christian, and there was this is the thing that back then there was a massive subculture, techno culture. Not only was there this big beat thing going on, but it was golden time.
It wasn't strictly big beat though, was it? They played fucking in that club in the Concord. They played big beat, this new genre, but he also played techno. If you hear any of the tapes, like Midfield General, he didn't really play more break. It was more like sort of pseudo weird sort of techno stuff, wasn't it? It was like across the board music. It's an amazing time really for music back then.
Man, I hadn't heard that expression in a long time. That genre, big beat, that was huge.
Yeah.
Big Beat Boutique. That's what that night was.
That was their party, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
Matt, did you?
I was just gonna say, like, what? This may be a silly question, but like, what was it in the UK that brought so many like legendary artists out of there? Like, if you think back to even like early rock music and punk, like, what was it that just generated so many legendary artists, from rock to punk to even electronic music? What is it?
Misery.
Misery?
Yeah. Weather. It's shit weather. It's like, what the fuck else we got to do?
I mean, you guys are from the UK, Matt and
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? You guys grew up in the 80s, right?
Yeah, I grew up in the 80s, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's
I mean, I think especially in Brighton, because you're by the seaside, there was a lot of live venues, and of course, there's you know, if you watch Quadrophenia or these movies, you know, there was this whole mods rockers thing in the 60s, and everyone loves to go to the seaside. Everyone loves to go to the beach, and so these towns radiated these kind of parties, going back from the 50s to now, and people still love to go and, you know, hang out. You know, you're so lucky, you guys living by the sea in LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe that's the reason.
Legendary.
I also think the weather has a part to play, because when you live in a country where the weather's not great, you're kind of forced to pursue other avenues. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's in England, I stay indoors the whole time anyway. I'm like white as a ghost, and I if it's 21 degrees, I'm underneath an umbrella straight away. But I think obviously bad weather kind of pushes you, and also where I'm from, like small town mentality, you get pushed into things earlier and you seek opportunities elsewhere. So maybe that has something to do with it too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think humans want to party. Oh, cat. Is it a cat or is it a bat?
Yeah, it's a cat. Sorry,
It's a funny looking bat, Chris.
Yeah.
Don't eat it.
Patient number one. Patient number one. We have patient number one here. Now, I think humans just want to party and have a good time, and every society finds their own excuses to do so.
Yeah,
Maybe weather, maybe great weather, you go out and party. Shitty weather, you go out and party because you want to escape or you want to enjoy it more. All these things. I think in England, pretty much a lot of times also you're really bad weather. You just like, you need to get your mind off things and go out and have a good time, right?
I think that's kind of what I meant by the misery comment. It's just like the stark inspiration.
Not that England is a miserable country. Don't get me wrong.
It's becoming more and more miserable by the fucking day, mate. Like,
Dan, you sent me to an incredible. It was last year, right? I think Paco Tapas.
Paco Tapas, fucking amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the best meals I've ever had in the UK.
It's fucking so good.
Is that open right now, or is what's happening?
No, it's all closed. But what's really annoying is you've got Casimir, which is their Michelin star like fine dining restaurant, and then 2 doors down you have Paco Tapas, and then in between they used to have this pizza place called Pie Shop, but they were turning it into a listening bar, and I'd help them with the sound system. They got like, it was going to be fucking so cool, super cool. Like, got all this amazing, like, sound treated the whole place, really amazing, like snacks and a wicked drinks menu, and it was supposed to open on like March the 23rd, and then they spent all this money, and then bang, COVID, and now God, it must be such a nightmare when you're opening a place. I mean, when someone's already open, you kind of have contingency plans, and when you're creating something new, and then this happens, it's like, what the fuck? What'd you do?
Yeah, I've got quite a few friends in the restaurant industry who this very thing happens. They spend a lot of time and money, a year or more into a project, and it was about to kick off.
But Ali, are the restaurants open in? I was talking to my friend Jonathan in New York, and the restaurants in New York are still shut. So I mean, are they open in Washington?
The few who've decided to evolve into like takeout only.
It's still just takeout. You can't. There's no like. You can't. There's no this.
Yeah, same.
Nobody can tell you anything in America like that's 100% accurate, because we're not getting like accurate. we're not getting accurate, comprehensive, cohesive advice from government officials or the CDC.
And every state is different too.
And every state is different, yeah.
Some states are like opened back up, others are like on super.
I know in the States, one of the big things that, like, especially in New York or wherever, is that even if they do offer like takeaways, that they can't sell alcohol. So that's obviously killing them for money, you know, that's the thing that they were making profit on. So I mean, it's tough, isn't it? It's really fucking
it's a mad situation when you sit back and think about it. I was watching something on the news today, and it's just, you sort of forget about it for a bit, don't you? And then you sort of sit back again. You're like, fucking hell, like we can't do anything if we don't know when we can again.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, today I saw on the news there was 20,000 cases in Brazil. In one day. In one day. So
isn't it funny how three of the four worst hit places have three of possibly the worst, shittiest, cunting-ish leaders you could possibly imagine. Trump, Johnson, and Maldonado, like three absolute cunts. And
I mean, that in Russia too. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Putin. That's the other one. So four of the worst hit places, and you've got four of the worst possible leaders you could have had at a time. When someone, obviously, you don't want to get too political, but like,
you tell them
people, you need a good person.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Crazy.
I agree.
Josh Wink just texted me and said, we're not getting edgy. We're not getting political enough.
Who did Josh Wink?
Josh Wink. He's like, come on, guys.
Hey, Chris, send Josh the Zoom link.
Yeah, get him in. Come on, get him in.
Yeah,
maybe we get Andy in and he has some controversial questions for us.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Josh is going to be on a show.
He's just texted me too.
Very articulate.
He's just texted me too, asking about the. What does he say? What?
HSOC Corona. I'm watching now. Yeah, I see. He said, let's get more controversial.
So basically, this is actually a good story. So Josh asked me, Norman, Fat Boy, owed Josh a remix for about 20 years. And Josh messaged me saying, and I've been banging on to Josh about giving me the parts of Higher Stage Consciousness for about 5 years. And obviously it's 25 years of Higher State of Consciousness this year. And he messaged me saying, Norman owes me a remix. Can you get Norman to ask Norman if he'll do a remix of it? And so I asked Norman, he said, I won't do one on my own, but I'll do one if we do one together. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. So I replied to Josh. He was like, yeah, great. But the version, because Josh lost the original acid line stem, so that the batteries went in his 303.
That's what he tells
you. Well, yeah. So we got a replayed one from, I can't remember who, but and it's cool, but it's not quite authentic. It's not, for me, not quite authentic enough. So I said, let's try and replay it, but I don't have a proper 303. So if Norman sent me his 303 so I was basically, and I got it in my studio, and then COVID hit, and I was sat in my studio with Fatboy Slim's 303 in my studio, the one that he wrote all those tunes on, about to remix Josh Wink Higher State of Consciousness with Fatboy Slim's 303. I was like, what the fuck? How is this happening? Like, how am I sat here with this legendary 303 to remix this probably the biggest 303 record of all time, and then fucking coronavirus?
That is amazing, dude.
Did you ever hear the Adana Twins remix of that?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's a good one. There we go, Josh. I've told the story now.
Hi, Josh.
Get him to come in.
What's up?
Chris, you want to get some questions? You want to get Andy in?
Let's get Andy in. Hi, Andy. Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?
Are you there?
Are you there? Are you there?
Andrew Bell, the lead singer of Erasure.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Hello.
Andy, you know Dan. Dan, do you know Andy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, of course.
How you doing?
I've seen his face for sure.
One of them faces. Somewhere around.
Is anyone still watching this show?
Yeah,
You notice Chris says that? Chris says that every week.
Every time. That's the line, isn't it?
Every time, yeah.
Who's still watching the show?
Still-
Yeah, lots of. I was trying to find some controversial political questions to answer.
No, please.
That's normally what we filter out, so we haven't necessarily got any of those for you guys, I'm afraid. But
More controversy, the better.
yeah, maybe I'll just make some stuff up.
I really liked the one the other week after Tour Manager Gate. I enjoyed watching that one. I watched the whole thing.
Manager Gate.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you see, and then you see the figures, of course. Like in the first 15 minutes of the show, everyone's tuning in and chatting, and then you can see it. Like people love the controversy, they really do.
Well, that's the whole. That whole thing was built on controversy.
It's wrote a song about it. Controversy.
It's gone now, though, right? I bet it's disappeared off the face of the planet, hasn't it?
What did?
What did?
There's no.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was in a different dimension.
Yeah.
Alternate universe.
Did you guys see this news report about how these scientists may have discovered that there's a parallel universe?
Yeah, I read that. It's running backwards.
Time is going backwards. How crazy, mind-boggling is that?
I read it, Ali, and then I read where it came from, and it came from the Star.
Yes.
Oh, Daily Star, really?
I read the same thing. It was the Daily Star who said that it was going in reverse.
Yeah, so
They just summarised the storyline of Interstellar and thought it'd make a good, good COVID news report.
Ali, can you link me that story? I'd like to read that, even if it is completely
like similar to.
I'll send you one on the flat Earth phenomenon as well.
If you watch the thing on Netflix about that, that is fucking insane.
Amazing.
Right, do you guys want some questions?
Yeah.
Well, let's dig through. Firstly, on the subject of being sick, I think it was Ali who was saying that you were drinking brandy in a club when you were sick whilst playing once. Cognac. Tyler Douglas makes a very good and serious point and says, alcohol weakens the immune system. It may work in unique cases, but people should not run for the liquor cabinet when they feel a fever or cold coming on.
Very sensible, Tyler. Very sensible.
Thank you, Tyler. Cheers to that.
More of a statement, not a question.
No, let's start off with a few statements, see if we can get things going. A quick one for Dan, Mr. Eats Everything, from Alistair Rennie on Facebook. Question for Dan. What was the story of Jesus forming / coming together, and what are the dynamics between the four of you?
Jesus was purely a fucking conversation in a hotel room off our knackers. And
Can you tell us what who Jesus is again? Can you remind us?
It's Jack Master, myself, Seth Troxler, and Scream. And it was just me, Seth, and Scream talking in a hotel room, just having a laugh. Said we should do something together. And then we realised, but then Scott Patterson, who's their manager, then said, well, if you put Jack Master in it, you can call it Jesus. Jack Master Eats Everything, Scream, und Seth Troxler.
As opposed to Jess.
It's a complete, a complete piss take. And somehow it took off. But then we were getting shit for saying we thought that it was from certain people with no sense of humour thought that we were declaring ourselves more popular than Jesus, which obviously is ridiculous. But they're like,
that happened to John Lennon.
Techno Beatles. It was like the Techno Beatles.
Yeah. And
but wait a minute. How, okay, there's 4 of you, and 3 of you have to wait.
Well,
3 records. You gotta wait 3 records before you can play a record. It's like,
it's not ideal.
What do you do?
We just well, you can imagine what we do. It's
push play.
It was fun, but it was fucking chaotic, properly chaotic. And we only did 4 or 5 sets ever, but it was great. Every time we had a great time.
Did you actually do gigs that were branded as Jesus then?
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah.
You did.
You guys did Ultra, I remember. You did the Resistance stage.
We did Resistance. We closed closed the Yuma tent at Coachella. We did a few things. It was fucking just basically 4 blokes off their faces playing records together. It's just, but we had a great time, and I would do it again. It was good fun, man.
Good.
I mean,
good.
yeah.
We had a couple of questions changing the topic completely about sound quality in clubs. Some people were asking about Function One. Some people were asking, Lucas Ranzuglia was asking, what do you think of audio quality in clubs? In my opinion, Tokyo super clubs have the best sound quality. Amir was asking, what's more important for you in a club? Super PA, top styled club, or party people freaking out? If you had to choose one of those things. Have you guys got any tech insight into like mega sound systems in any of your favorite clubs?
I'd choose people. And if I had to pick one of those, I'd choose people because there's no party.
Yeah, I think
Josh Wink just texted me that I'm too quiet.
I think DJ
Yeah, because you're stoned. That's why he doesn't realize that you've been vaping.
I felt I'd jump in because I remember output with the sound system just made me feel so great. So I believe like the sound system should and always be the main thing, because if the sound system is great, the people will automatically feel it and have a good time. And fuck about the design, you know, this is like maybe if, you know, maybe some on the cake if there's some nice places to rest and it looks good. But just like output was, it just made you feel so insanely good.
So I would go along with the DJ Harvey sort of ethic that if the party's great, the sound system could be completely crap. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as
The people's most important.
I feel like I've played parties where the sound system was shit and the crowd was amazing and the gig was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, guys, the question was not what is your best party, because that can happen. Wasn't the question is like, what is the best sound system?
Yeah,
No.
it was like,
No, it wasn't. It was
I didn't really understand the question.
They said which one's more important,
yeah.
the sound system.
yeah,
it
it was a two-pronged question.
I mean, it's not one thing or the other. I think it's a combination of different. A great night out, like Sound Factory in New York that I used to go to, which was my.
I wish I'd have gone there.
Really great clubbing experience. I ended up actually playing from Junior's booth once as Deep Dish. Everything was great in that club.
Yeah.
It was the right crowd, insane sound system, perfect lighting, great atmosphere. So it's a combination of everything. It's not just good sound or cool people or whatever, you know.
And Chris, you'd know this. Berghain, the sound system isn't great.
You'll never play again.
Controversy.
because of the size, because of the size of the room, it's like a hall, right? It's a hala. It's massive. So it's not the greatest of sound, but it's the people that make the room work. So, you know, there you go.
I think you're right. The sound is not perfect, especially the sound in the booth is actually quite challenging at times, you know. But I believe the sound is perfectly fitting the venue as well. Like even if it's not like perfect in a way that there's other linear amazing clubs which are perfect. I think the sound complements the room really nicely. It's the whole experience that you're getting.
If you played Blitz Club in Munich,
Blitz is great.
Yeah, Blitz is incredible.
That room is incredible. It's like I wish there was a club like that in Berlin. That's what Berlin is missing right now. Is that kind of like, you know, on point design.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, I did Sisyphus last year, and I thought that was incredible as well.
Blitz is Mylan's club, right? He from not Robert Johnson. What was it in Munich? Not Robert Johnson.
Oh, Harry Klein. Blitz. You're talking about Blitz. We were talking about Blitz.
Yeah, but it's David Mylan's club, isn't it? Blitz, and he had
Dave's.
What's it called?
Dave Mullen.
No, what David Mullen, but what was his club before? I played there a few times.
Harry Klein?
Harry Klein.
No, the other one.
The other one.
Bob's your uncle.
Harry Klein, another name.
I don't know the other one.
I know what you mean. I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
The concrete. What was it? Jeez, I'm slipping my mind too. Guess I'll Google it.
Like a tennis player's name or something. Yeah, anyway, so we digress.
Andy, any more questions?
Cheers, guys.
Yeah,
you talking about MMA club?
This is my wait. I've lost count.
MMA? No, that's massive.
Well, they have 2 rooms at MMA. One of them's a smaller one.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, we're really tethered, lads.
I love the combination that Dan is drinking. He's drinking Jägermeister, then he's drinking a beer, then he has the tequila.
I'm
Dan's
only
an
having half of Jaeger though.
Are we maybe sending the wrong message here to?
It should come with a warning. We should definitely put a disclaimer at the end of this. Drink responsibly.
Dan
It's
has
not-
COVID-19 and he's taking alcohol to kill the COVID.
Wash your bodies with alcohol.
Don't try this at home.
Okay, we just had. I would say this question is on the deep spectrum. Just came in from unknown artist. Can and should techno imply spiritual and social change, and shift from heavy drug abuse to recreational, sober ways? Thanks.
What does that mean?
Should techno have?
That's like making an assumption about.
Andy, I mean, the question is, it's a non-question because I mean, everything works regardless of whether you hate something or not, right?
Is techno focused, the techno scene or the enjoyment of techno and its experience focused around drug use?
Right?
I'd say no.
Alcohol?
No.
I'd say it probably started off as, but then
No, of course it's not.
I don't know why a genre of music should imply anything on anybody.
No.
I think people should make a decision for themselves.
Yeah.
And if they want to go ahead and inspire others around them to do things, then they can go ahead and do so.
well said.
There is absolutely no way that anybody who creates the music or listens to music should dictate what people should and shouldn't do with their lives.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mo is literally the moral compass of years.
I said it better.
He's the moral compass.
That was answered. Next question.
Done.
No, just quickly, just before I need to continue. I mean, I'm sure a lot of music that we've heard by certain producers is written on drugs, and you can definitely hear that. But I wouldn't say that
it goes across all genres. Like
yeah, for sure. We from rock to whatever. But I wouldn't say that was the defining factor that drives the music forward. You know.
Yeah.
I've got a question actually for all of you.
Speak.
Do you write music on drugs? Do any of you, or have you?
No.
No, never.
Not work for me.
Wait, what was the question again?
I can't even smoke weed and make
drugs.
Yeah, I can.
Have you written
I gotta
music on
be
drugs?
stone cold sober.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple albums completely far from being sober.
Yeah.
Really? And what does that?
Sativa.
Smoking weed, but I mean like ecstasy, speed.
No way.
Doesn't work.
I know a lot of great producers who do it, and I've seen them do it. But
Yeah, I do too.
Oh,
I'm always sober.
I could never. No.
I think the last album that I did was a complete downward spiral into psychedelics. Locked into a room. And some days were completely productive and some days were just a wash. But we were happy with the results at the end of the day.
His album is fucking incredible though. You should. I might as well plug it now if people want to know.
Is it out? Is it out?
Yeah. It's a project I did in collaboration with Luis Flores under the name Belief Defect, and
Okay.
yeah, it was an exercise, to say the least.
I've walked it because that album was made in Berlin, and there's so many times I've walked in from a night out in Berlin, and they're still awake working on the album. It's pretty great.
What's the project
We'd
called?
walk in the room and we would both look at the door like this.
Yeah. Exactly.
Belief defect?
Belief defect. I've written that down. I'm gonna check that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
Some mental shit.
Follow.
Okay, next question from Andrew Schmidt on Facebook. He asked, what country is the most challenging to play in? But maybe this is also just some experiences of the most challenging gigs, whether that's a club or promoter or an environment. Any countries in particular that come to mind? Chris, I know you've had some in the past. I was there for some of them.
Am I?
Yeah, some Eastern European gigs.
I mean, we're gonna piss somebody off by answering this question.
I used to find Germany really challenging, like really years ago when I first became successful, and then over time I worked out to play exactly the opposite of what I would play in the UK, and it works a treat. And then I realised, and then it was easy from then on. And then I find it actually easier playing in Germany than anywhere else now. But at the start, when I used to play Watergate, I literally had people going like. Stood next to me calling me a cunt saying, what the fuck are you doing? What is this shit? Because I was playing like 2011, like sort of bass influence UK house music.
Yeah, they never get that in Germany.
Yeah, but they do now. Like garage is big in Germany apparently.
Yeah.
But like
I think that what you're referring to, and this is probably goes for all of us, is it's not about maybe the country, or it's about maybe your agent or who you're working with placing you in the right venues that maybe aren't for the best money, because maybe your agent wants to put you in a venue where you get the most amount of money. It's about placing you in a place where you can play the music you love and people appreciate it, which I think that will happen in every country if you work with the right people,
Yeah, that's true.
True.
I find it most challenging to play at places that I find are too chic and fancy to me, and whether you have the table standing there, because I always feel like I probably won't be delivering the music that these people are expecting. So I find it sometimes challenging, although in the end, sometimes it actually turns out to be a lot of fun.
You
really.
paint your nails differently.
Not really like a gig, for example, in Dubai, it's like, it's kind of a different challenge. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily the country. It could also be a fancy gig in Miami or something. It's just like I sometimes feel maybe misplaced with my music there, and I couldn't adapt.
Here's a question for all you guys. Like, when you get the offer from your agent, do you like look up the club? I mean, if you haven't heard of it before, do you look up videos on YouTube? Do you go to the club's website to see who's played there before? Even though you might get a lot of information from the agent, like, do you personally go and check it out?
I do.
I do always.
Or
always.
do you just blindly trust your agent making?
No,
the right
I always check. At the very least, look at pictures of the club. Generally see if there's a stage or a booth, because I fucking hate stages.
Yeah.
I have a tendency to have accepted gigs from my agent that have come from the weirdest places, and I just wanted to go because I had never heard of the place or I had never imagined techno being there.
Yeah.
And usually that can either result in a complete nightmare or a rather fun experience.
Yeah.
Well, like I just like anytime a really odd request comes in, my agent will be like, I got this weird request and I know how you like these, so what do you think about this? And I would take it if I had to.
Yeah.
Like, one time we played in Mumbai, and it was a really, really poshy club filled with a bunch of Sikh guys that apparently had a lot of money, and they kept coming up to me and offering me wads of cash to play Bollywood music. Definitely knew I was in the wrong place at that point.
Really? Offering you money to play Bhangra, basically?
Yeah, just like, with like a money clip, just pulling it off. Play some Bollywood music. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Bad choice.
Wow. No, I've never had that.
It's definitely
I don't have much Bhangra in my lockup, though, so.
Andy, any more questions?
Righty. Technology focused one here, maybe for the guys who play with a bit more of a complex setup, but all of you. Amir Ha says, technology of music production and DJing has changed a lot in the last 30 years. What do you think the technology will look like in 20 years? Who knows, but any ideas?
I think wireless.
Yeah.
Probably like you wouldn't even have to bring a USB stick. You could just stream everything and have this like crazy, if that, like a CDJ or something would connect to a server, and then just like you can just play the music instantly without any, no streaming issues or something. I mean,
Freeport have Link. I don't know if anyone's checked that out. I had a call with them. last week. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. I've seen that. I've seen a few discussions about that. Do you reckon MIDI will ever be wireless?
There's already a couple of wireless MIDI implementation systems out there, but the latencies are pretty shitty already.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, be actually worthwhile wireless.
But in the next 20 years, it's probably going to be like super easy.
Yeah, everything will be completely
just
wireless.
being able to do everything
wireless machines just built in. It'll be like Wi-Fi or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but it seems like there's a pattern going on where we don't collectively progress technologically as much as we think we do, because every time we reach a certain point, it seems like there's like a collective revert back to some old technology, like modular, a retro thing constantly.
But it's patching modular stuff.
I was watching Back to the Future.
These cables.
I was watching Back to the Future last week with my daughters, and you know that they come back to 2015 and they have fucking flying cars and everything. So we somehow always expect of the future to be so incredibly different. I mean, when did they shoot that movie? 84?
86, wasn't it?
And 88, 87, and they felt like in 2015 there's flying cars. We're in 2020, and you could argue that there's not that much changing in the next 20, 25 years, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to bet in 2030 we're still going to have people complaining that if you're not playing with vinyl, you're not real.
I was going to mention that.
Nothing's going to change.
I definitely think
nothing's going to change if everyone, everywhere is asking you, oh, can you do a vinyl set? When do you want to do a vinyl set?
Yeah, but you'll be able to.
Don't you miss vinyl?
Maybe in 20 years you'll be able to do like an augmented reality vinyl set.
Yeah.
So you
like
won't. So you'll do. That's it. I mean, I hopefully that's. I mean, we all grew up in the 20th century where we're all hoarding, physical stuff. So maybe that's good. Maybe the benefit of this.
An augmented reality of physical ownership of stuff.
Yeah, we won't need it. So maybe that's going to be the next step. But I'm not sure how you're going to be able to do it in a club, but we'll see.
You can already DJ from your phone to the CDJ, can't you? You can have record box on your phone.
Yeah.
I don't trust it, but I've not done it. I use a USB, but you can connect. If the club has a good Wi-Fi, you can connect to the CDJ via your phone already.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's that far-fetched to imagine what artificial intelligence could play possibly in DJ. I mean, obviously people want to see DJs play, but it wouldn't be that difficult for something like Beatport to dump their entire catalog into an AI system and then database tons and tons of DJ mixes and have computer technology learn which tracks mix together the best.
Well, no, but maybe then they could say this is Chris Liebig, but Chris wouldn't actually have to do anything. Radio Slave or Ali or whoever, you'd just be able to just lie at home and just do whatever while your AI is DJ, right?
Then it wouldn't be that far different from today. We're just selling personas.
Isn't that there's a certain DJ act that wear a mask? Isn't there like 10 of them or something? They go all around.
With Claptone.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not saying anything.
Man, imagine an AI that analyzes your DJ style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that becomes a template.
Yeah.
Wow. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah, it's just like an iTunes profile setting. Just right click settings, select dub fire mix style, and then it'll just go ahead.
It's like Netflix. Netflix already does it. They watch the pattern of what you watch, and they start suggesting stuff, and you're just like, wait,
like a drunk setting or drunk, more high, bad mixing.
Imagine if COVID finishes.
DJ as today.
If COVID finishes and we're all replaced by fucking AI. It's like, it's just, all clubs start opening. They're like, oh, fuck these cunts off. Let's just we get a robot in to do it. Sound.
Cut down cost to maximize profit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's why as a DJ, it's important to always throw the curveballs. in your set.
Yeah.
Just in case you're being analyzed.
Yeah. Got a robot on your ass.
Yeah. Fuck, I played as my last song for the Mac thing. I came upon it when I was prepping. Jesus Loves You, Generations of Love.
Yeah, so I saw Ralph Moore post about that, actually.
Yeah, it was the Steve Osborne, Paul Oakenfold mix, which I'd done a re-edit cutting out the rap because I hated the rap in the song, in the original.
It was on more Protein, right?
On More Protein. That was, what's his name? Is that Jeremy Healy's label?
No, it's Boy George's label.
Oh, it was Boy George's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. MC King.
I'm sorry, I have like a random question, totally different. When a friend asked me, but like it was actually pretty interesting. It's like, what is the longest track you ever played at a party?
Longest track?
I know. The Orb, the Blue Room for me.
How long is that?
Long time ago. I think it's like 30 minutes. Or on Manuel Gotching, E2, E4, 30, it's like 30 some minutes.
Probably
I think the first is Manuel Gotching.
Paperclip People Throw will be the one like that. Definitely, that's the longest. What's that, like 14 minutes long? Yeah. I've not played it all.
There was I can't remember the name of the track, but I think it's by Minilog. And it was an EP that was done on Dustin Zahn's Enemy records. I think they're like 20-minute long tracks. Yeah. And I remember playing one of those at Berghain. And like that was my piss tracks thing. Like I threw that on into the toilet.
I did a remix of DJ Hell, which was 28 minutes long.
Yeah, you've done some fucking long tunes.
I think I played like 20 minutes of it at Fabric. I think it was the most I've managed to get away with.
That one you did, I Need Music, that's like 60 minutes. I'm just checking now. That's 16 minutes long.
Yeah, Matt is the master of stretching it out.
Yeah.
Sharam and I, we remixed
the record.
We remixed back in the day the Shaman, Trans-Amazonia, and Dage, Day by Day. And both of those were like in the 20-minute range. And what the label did was they faded it out and then they faded it back in on the flip side. It's really funny, whoever has those records.
Oh, really? So, yeah, of course, yeah, because the record's only got such a length on one side. Wow. Yeah, I don't think I've made one like a 7 minute, 8
Chris,
minutes.
do you know of any?
Me?
Yeah, a long track.
must be Ray.
Bo?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I know that I have quite a few long tracks in my sets when I play, but because I play with Tractor, I have cue points, and if I'm at a particular point where I feel like the track's just getting too long, I'll just jump across, or if it's working, I just let it go.
Yeah.
No, my last one was probably Josh Wink's Meditation Will Manifest. There is this 15-minute version. Josh, Josh, can you tell us, please, 15-minute version? Meditation Will Manifest. Really good. I'll play it in my stream on Saturday. Wink.
Wow, we've been talking and drinking and
hours almost.
Drinking tequila, etc. for 2 hours now.
Yeah. I feel like tequila.
Yeah.
Mario Rodriguez is asking, guys, where are the shots? Was it cancelled?
We've been doing fucking shots.
Come on, then.
Shots. I think they're expecting it to be like...
I think people want to see us shoot.
Yeah, every time someone says DJ...
We're sipping the shot.
Okay. Really?
I've been like...
I'm doing really well there, dude.
My tequila was like up to here when I
pour another Coralejo.
Yes.
That looks good. The bottle looks nice, Ali.
I drank like this much tequila so far.
What time is it there, Mo? Or David, sorry? What time is it in LA?
It's 2 p.m.
Wow, okay.
Josh just texting it's a 13-minute mix of Meditation Will Manifest. It's not that long. Maybe I extended it.
That's short.
Jesus, Dan, that's 3 piss breaks in 2 hours. You call
Andy, we have another good question.
I'm just looking through all the comments as they're coming through again. Is Dan still there? Oh yeah. Big P, question for Eats Everything. You DJed before in a fish and chip shop. What's the craziest venue you could imagine playing in? That you did like a, was it like a A surprise gig in a fish and chip shop in your hometown.
I did a boiler room in a fish and chip shop.
Boiler room.
Yeah, off the chip off the fryer.
The counter.
Yeah, I've done a few weird. Well, in a car, that was pretty good. I mean, I like DJing in places that you shouldn't really, that aren't like normally for DJing. I think the craziest place. I always wanted to go. I never went there. Matt, you might, even Ali, you might have. Public Life in London. I never actually went there.
I did. I went there so many times back in the day.
Yeah, I never actually went there, but it looked.
I never went.
I played there.
It's a crazy place. Retox. Very crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know. I've seen people DJing on the Great Wall of China. That looks pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, now with people like Circle, with a platform like Circle, people are just. I mean, nothing is too crazy, is it? They just
they do
put gigs on all over the place, don't they?
Yeah. I played a gig one time in Honduras, on a little island off the coast of Honduras, on an island that was 1 acre large. You could basically walk around the island in a circle in less than 15 minutes.
Wow, that's fucking cool.
We were trapped there for 3 days. The big boat dropped us off, and it couldn't even get close to the island because the shore was probably about maybe a quarter of a mile. You had to walk in shallow water holding your gear above your head just to get onto the island. That was incredible. They used to do it. Actually, the festival was going on for over 20 years. It was called Sun Jam Festival in Honduras.
That's Balto's party, right?
Yeah. Well, he was part of the crew, one of the guys. Apparently in Honduras, like the second biggest barrier reef, and they have like a scuba diving school there. A lot of marine biologists go to university there. So a lot of the teachers who were like divers, they would just throw these festivals on these tiny islands in the middle of Honduras out there. It's beautiful.
That's fucking cool.
Rad.
Really fucking cool.
Right, guys, you want more questions, or should we wrap it up?
Let's have one more. One more round.
One more round.
One more round. One more shot. One more shot.
I'm ready. I can answer a lot of questions. I'm pretty.
I'm happy to carry an answer in them.
We just lean back and hear Uncle Dave answering the questions.
Uncle Dave. Actually, one just came in just really quickly, which I was thinking about as well. Daniel Wergeler. Quick question for Radio Slave. Your mind-blowing remix of Tom York. Will that ever get a release?
I don't know. I mean, we've approached the label, and yeah, thanks for the question. I'm glad you like the remix, and I don't know. We tried, and we're not sure with XL whether or not it'll come out. But it was one of those ones where I just really it's the digital only track from the album, so it's not on the vinyl, and it's it's an amazing track, and it's a little bit like one of the first remixes I ever made for Carl Craig for Darkness. It's the same. It's literally I just literally put a beat under the track. So, but yeah, I can send it to you guys. I really love it.
I wanted to ask Matt a question actually. Because obviously Radio Slave was you and Serge initially, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
When did that? Because I used to obviously because you first started doing like those. It was almost like hip house kind of stuff, wasn't it? Some of the earlier stuff was not hip house, but like
the first remix we ever did all together was of Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head. That's what kind of like spearheaded.
That's a wicked one.
Yeah, that was what kind of
like 12 minutes long, isn't it?
Yeah, which was like a mixture between Angel Eyes. It basically like has a segue halfway through the remix, so it's Can't Get You Out of My Head. Then it goes into Angel Eyes by Roxy Music, and then goes back into track. And and Pete Tong, a good friend of mine, Dave Durrell, who made Mars Pump Up the Volume. He played it to, he's friends with Pete Tong. He played it to Pete. Pete played it on Radio 1. And we had to come up with a name, very, pretty sharpish. And that's how Radio Slave was born. But,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wicked. That's cool, man. I would like to know stuff like that.
Yeah, but then we went on to do, like, we remixed Fisher Spooner. We did a lot of, hip hop stuff as well, so it was a lot of edits and
That Seven Nation Army one was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of. I think it was that time, especially the early 2000s. It was pre kind of electro clash, where we were trying to reappropriate kind of the pop records, but in a for the clubs, but not in a cheesy way that what we were hearing at the time. Because I think at that point, maybe the late 90s, a lot of the remixes for major labels were really they were terrible. That's why we started doing it. And I think with most things, that's what usually starts a kind of not a revolution, but starts a movement, is when people are really unhappy with what's going on at the time. So that was our movement.
Were you guys into hip house, the genre?
Hip house?
Yeah, like all the stuff like Fast Eddie, Tyree, Cooper.
Fast Eddie, yeah, Tyree, all that shit.
Alexi, yeah, all the stuff on DJ International.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. Some of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of complete shit, but like with any genre, there's some amazing stuff and some terrible stuff. You can say that about any style, couldn't you?
Yeah. But I just think that early 2000s, we were last night we were watching some videos like Donnell Jones, What's Up, this whole
tune.
Early 2000s R&B hip hop thing was so amazing, and it's kind of for me, it was this golden era where you heard all these tracks, and for me, I wanted to play these or find a way of mixing them into what I was doing, but not in a cheesy way. So we were trying to do these edits. It's like when Tiga did the Hot in Here. It was that kind of vibe. And actually, Serge and I did a remix for Skint of that track, and it was pretty clever with what Tiga did, taking that track and making it into this kind of weird, kind of
super camp, weird electro-y, but it's amazing. What he did was fucking, it was unbelievable.
I think we need more of that now. We need more of that kind of personality and this kind of in our scene. That's what makes it so colourful and it's great if you can do that.
Why do you think there hasn't been some sort of hip house? Everything else has been rehashed from acid to early house. People are doing this old retro lo-fi house stuff, but how come no one's really? Maybe I'm not aware of it, but I feel like no one's doing any hip house stuff.
I think the closest that anyone gets is the way Dice plays, and Dice comes from hip hop. So for him, it's a natural expression of his personal style. I mean, it's not fully hip house. Obviously, it's an evolution of that. But there's a lot of hip hop attitude and hip hop samples. It may not be straight verse, chorus, verse, rhymes, but it's 100% hip hop and attitude, and I love that about Dice.
Yeah,
I think he's the keeper of the flame of that bridge between hip hop and house.
I'm just surprised it hasn't somehow made some sort of comeback. I don't know.
Me too. I still play I still play Fast Eddie stuff in my set.
Yeah, I still play Yo-Yo and all I still play loads of those tunes.
I was playing with Jackmaster once some years ago, and he was in the booth totally off his head, just grooving. And I'm like, for Jackmaster, I'm gonna play a Fast Eddie son, and he just went bonkers. It was nice to see Jackmaster start jacking hip house.
Do you think the rule book's been ripped up a little bit in terms of what is now allowed musically? I think now the COVID is kind of, for me anyway, personally, when I'm making music, I'm sat in this room, I can't finish anything, but the tunes I'm making are not anything like I would have made 6 months ago.
Okay.
I'm making music that
I think artists mirror what's happening, politically in our environment. So naturally, whether you're conscious of it or not, it's going to work its way into the craft.
Yeah.
I think a lot of really interesting music is going to come out over the course of the next 2 years, and surprising music from artists that you wouldn't expect them to have that perspective or angle.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad we're going to have enough time to listen to all of this hanging out on the airports.
Yeah.
Dan, are you still actively like listening and buying music? Are you making playlists as if you had gigs on the regular? Like,
I'm downloading a lot. I haven't, and this is honest to God, hand on heart. I've not bought a new record, a brand new record, not paid for a brand new record or listened to any promos since lockdown. But I've downloaded thousands of records. I just haven't been. I've been making a lot of music, but I can't finish it because the room sounds weird. It doesn't sound. But I could get tunes done to like 90% or whatever, and then when the studio opens, then I'll take them and finish them. But I've just been like listening to loads and loads of old music. I probably should be keeping up with the Joneses and like listening to new stuff, but I don't know. For me, I've just
you don't need to
rest. I don't know.
Yeah.
But old music's new anyway. If you don't know it, it's new, isn't it?
I mean, when I was 16, or 15, I got into James Brown. It was already 20 years old, you know. So
yeah,
you know that, like you said, there's so much music out there. I think if we all stop making music, if everyone stopped making music, there's still enough old music out there to last us for an eternity.
I agree.
And maybe some of the, especially in some genres, maybe the best music's already been made.
I agree, 100%, definitely.
And also, you know, to throw it out there, music's very two-dimensional, and maybe what we should be looking for in the future isn't just music. You know, it's something else. You know, it's another sensory thing we haven't quite got to yet. You know.
What was the for you guys? What was the last great album that you listened to that you consider like a defining album for that artist, or for yourselves, like a discovery, something that you can't stop listening to?
The last album I bought was the last D'Angelo album.
Yeah.
And I thought that was amazing. And I don't buy a lot of albums, but I had it on recommendation to buy this D'Angelo album, and it's not something I played it a lot. It's not something I'll ever play in a club or anything, but that was an amazing piece of music. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I'm not a big album buyer, so.
Same.
Yeah.
I love listening to Flying Lotus albums. I'm a huge fan of that stuff. If I could like somehow figure out a way to incorporate that sound into techno, I've been trying, but I can't.
It's really trippy, his stuff. Really, really out there. Like,
I love the rawness, but like this really sway kind of funk to it. And
he reminds me a lot of like I don't know if you ever were into DJ Shadow.
Yeah.
It's got this DJ Shadow vibe, but obviously, you know, it's quite different, more jazzy. Yeah. Like, man, I don't know how he gets, there's a sound to it. I would really love to figure out how he gets it to sound. It's crunchy. It's crunchy, but it's not overly distorted, but it sounds clean at the same time.
Amazing how he makes it. I'm always like sat there going, how the fuck?
Same here. I'm like, how does it, the drums, like, damn, the drums are amazing. I don't know who is mixing.
I tend to consume a lot of albums myself, but my taste is fairly eclectic. So it's a lot of experimental music and a lot of weird stuff. But Andy Stott's a couple albums called Faith and Strangers was fucking incredible.
Was that Andy Stotts?
Andy Stott.
Yeah.
Andy.
I also
album was just like.
I want to say that the Function album, the last album on Trezor was great. It's a fucking great album. So big shout out to Dave Function. It's a really good album.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna write these down. Andy Stott, is it STOOT? O-O-T.
STOTT.
Function is he's a producer from the UK or German?
Oh, Dave
Function. He's from New York.
From New York.
Huh?
He's from New York.
Function.
Yeah.
Dave.
Wow.
Hello, Dave
Sumner.
Have you never experienced Dave?
I mean, I'm a big fan, but I've never met him. No.
Well, you need to, Ali.
Dave and Carl together.
You know what's funny about that is me and David. Chris actually knows this. Dean. We have a friend named Dean who lives here in LA, And one time I was at a party with Dean, and we saw a function, Dave Sumner, and he ran up to our friend Dean, and he thought he was you. He was like, "Hey, you're Dubfire. Hey, man, it's great to meet you."
Get out of here.
My friend Dean's like, "Nah, man, I'm not Ollie. I'm not Dubfire." It was a pretty.
Do they look
funny
similar?
What's up?
Do they look similar? Or
Dean and Dubfire?
I don't think they do look that similar.
I don't
but,
think
I mean,
so.
maybe.
That's hilarious. Because Dean's, it's so funny.
right, one more shot for the road, I reckon. One more.
One more shot.
Are there any more questions? Or should we call it?
Oh, man.
So
Oh
many
my God,
questions.
I'm getting pretty wasted.
Andy looks like he's getting really great questions that he's not going to ask us.
Andy,
He's got
every
that look on
question
his
will be
face.
answered by Uncle Dave. Just ask Uncle Dave a question.
No, you know what? Like, so many people reply and comment. It's the nature of like chat rooms and comments, isn't it? That people just chipping in with comments and comments. If you put them all together, you could probably come up with some good questions.
I think we need to end soon because Matt is getting so red right now.
Yeah, very red. It's the light.
That's getting hot as shit in this room too.
The sun.
I think the shots has added another dimension. Rather than getting kind of sleepy like drinking mezcal, it's a real upper, isn't it? And tequila's the same.
Yeah.
So it's added a different dimension to the show. I quite like it. Maybe it should be like alternate beers and shots every show.
A shot to everyone who's watching. Maybe they're drinking right along with us.
Cheers, chaps. Cheers.
Thanks to everyone for watching.
Can I just say thanks
for
for
that.
having me, though, chaps? It's an honour and a pleasure to be involved. So thank you.
Yeah, man.
And thanks so much for coming on, dude.
I've had a really lovely time. Who thought like sitting and staring at a computer screen could be so much fun?
Guys, so there were a couple of questions. Well, there were a lot of people who were also really feeling the absence of Detroit movement this weekend. And there were a couple of questions asking about what you guys have got planned. Someone said, yo, when's your next stream, Chris? And I know that Mo was answering the question about you guys, Drum Cell and Truncate, doing the movement stream, but maybe just fill us in, each of you, on what you've got coming up next, where people can check out a live stream or a set, whatever it is you've got going on.
Well, just to clarify, I just found out now our live stream for Movement this weekend is actually Sunday. I play from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time, and David from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
So I'm opening for Mo.
Yeah. So that's definitely on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
And that's a killer lineup, isn't it? It's like a massive. How long is it going for?
I think it's the whole day, but it's going on and well until midnight.
All weekend? Isn't it like all weekend? Or
I think it's all weekend.
It's the whole weekend, yeah.
Is it live or pre-recorded?
I don't know. Are we allowed to say that?
I think it's kind of both, and I think I'm playing at an after party. There's an after party. I'm playing at an after party, but I'll do my stream before I do another, I don't know, longer stream on Saturday, starting at 11 p.m. on Saturday, and I believe I'll take over the after party at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. Then.
So you're going to stream from 11, your own one, till you take over at the after party.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it live?
I'm doing a seamless transition.
For anyone who's interested, I know a lot of people who attend to Detroit are probably pretty familiar with the after party that we do every single year. And we collaborate with our Detroit family Blank Code guys. We've been throwing parties there for well over the last 15 years now. And they've been pretty insane. But this weekend, we're actually going to be streaming our parties from the past.
Oh, nice.
We've had some pretty incredible surprise appearances by DJs who've just showed up and played at our after party over the years. And we've recorded them all, and they've kind of just been sitting in archives. So this weekend, we're going to be restreaming those.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I think was it the Roadhead one? The Roadhead party this weekend or no? No, they already did that.
Yeah, I think we're doing that one this weekend. And Rodhead did a surprise back-to-back with somebody. So if you want to tune in, we do that on Twitch. And I guess if you look at any of our social medias, you can find, we'll link to it.
Anyone else do something?
I'm going to go paddleboarding tomorrow on the street.
Are you streaming it though?
Are you gonna
Are you
stream it?
streaming?
That's it. But that's it. I think it's the last day of good weather here in Berlin, I think, for a few days. So going to make the most of it. So please just stop writing emails to me, anyone, and just leave me alone. Okay? That's it.
Anybody else?
Dan, anything coming up?
I'm doing a back-to-back with Fatboy Slim on Radio 1. They've got a Radio 1 on Saturday. They've got, it's because it was a big festival called One Big Weekend this weekend in the UK. But obviously that's got cancelled. And so they've got like Armand Van Helden, Black Madonna, me and Fatboy Slim, other people. And yeah, so that, it's pre-recorded, so it's not really back-to-back, but, you know. He sent me tunes and I mixed them.
Okay.
but it's, you know, it was you've only got these and you have to play them, so it's kind of, it's the same as playing back to back in the sense that he's forced me to play the record, so
You're doing all the work.
That's an interesting concept.
yeah, well, it's barely a back to back, but I'm probably announcing this and I shouldn't, but this is the shots talking.
The problem with DJs and shots.
Yeah.
Finally, the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Ali, what's up?
Me, between now and when we get together next week, just the reggae dub stream on Sunday. And then I don't know Tuesdays is like, I just make a decision the day before whether I want to go deep or hard or somewhere in between.
Who's bringing the guest on next week? Andy?
Oh, that's
We have to check the schedule. we haven't got there yet.
I think that's why we were supposed to meet yesterday or to have a chat.
I think it's Matt's turn.
Huh?
I think it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I nominate Josh Wink to come on the show.
Yes.
Right, Josh. Josh Wink is our guest. Let's call him.
He just texted me now saying Ghost talking about Fatboy Slim, Ghost DJ.
Oh yeah.
No, we just call him quickly.
Yeah, call him.
Let's call Josh now and confirm it.
We call him and confirm it on air. Hold on.
There you go.
He won't answer.
I wouldn't answer. I'd be like, fuck
Text
that.
it.
You gotta put him on speaker.
Hey, Josh, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
You're on speakerphone.
Oh,
You're on speakerphone. Matt wants you as a guest next week. Do you have time?
I'm booked solid, sorry.
Is that a yes? Sorry. What?
He's booked solid.
I have to talk to my agent to see if this is the right option.
Okay, that's great. Talk to your agent and then fill us in. That would be great to have you, dude.
I heard the question about, if it's right to play at a club that the agent gets you the gig for without knowing anything about it. And I need to do a little bit more research before I get
Go.
He's gonna look at our past guests.
All right, Josh, thank you. So I hope we see you next Thursday. I'll hang up again.
It's fun. I'm at 1% in the park under a tree with my kid running around with his sword.
Okay, we'll better hang up then. Save your percent, please. Take care, dude.
Bye, guys.
We all say hi.
There you go.
That was easy. You should do that every time. You have to book the guest live on air.
Whoever answers is the guest.
Speed dial. Yeah.
Or
It's
dude.
unavoidable then, isn't it? You can't really say no, can you?
No.
You didn't say yes.
Put him on the spot.
He said yes in a
That's
Josh
his way of
Wink
saying
way.
yes.
He said yes in a Josh Wink.
Yeah.
Go around and make a shit joke about him and just go around the question.
Cheers, Josh. Thanks for coming on.
Here's
Josh.
Josh.
See you next week, Josh.
See you next week.
I think we need to wind down, guys. Now we beat our record, 2.5 hours.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Dan, that's your fault.
It's the liquor.
I think it's a shot's fault. It's got fuck all to do with me. It's purely down to the alcohol.
Yeah,
It's your influence.
I was at half a bottle. I was at half a bottle. Quite a bit, and I drank the whiskey earlier too.
Well
Really,
done.
I noticed you were starting to slur your words.
And it's only 2:30 p.m., right?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hungover by lunchtime.
You got the whole day ahead of you.
I'm gonna take a nap after this.
But thank you guys. Thanks so much for having me, man. Honestly, pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Dan.
chat. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
Who signs off first? I don't want to like. Who hangs up? You hang up. No, you hang up. You hang up.
Chris is in control of everyone.
Yeah, Chris,
I'm just gonna hang up for all of us. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
thanks,
Back
Dan.
next Thursday, DJ Spears with Josh Wink as our guest.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
a lot for everything for coming on.
Bye, guys.
Cheers,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.